those books where the cover is beautiful, the premise is awesome, you're reading the book and it's giving you everything you've ever wanted, but at the same time, it's actually so painfully accurate that you cannot finish reading it in one go, but you really, really want to. And so all of the experience is amazing and painful at the same time. Yeah, I didn't know it too, but now I do. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel, and today we are going to be doing a book review, which is something that I really enjoy but I haven't done a lot of because, you guess it, it takes some time to get used to the idea of what the book is and what is going on in life, and we don't have time. However, this book absolutely deserves it, and this is going to be the second in sort of a series of videos that I've done about this. So the first video that I've done about this book was in my friend Miguel's channel, which I have talked about Miguel in my channel. He was kind enough to actually gifted me the book that I'm going to review, which I'm making a secret and I don't really know why, since you've probably seen it in the title and in the thumbnail, but okay. So not only did he gifted this book to me on my birthday, he actually invited me to do sort of a chat with him on his channel, his booktube channel, which is fairly recent, so you guys should go and subscribe to him if you want to check our conversation about this. And it was very interesting. We have different perspectives, but at the same time we can approach similarities in our perspectives, so it was really interesting to actually have a discussion with him. And so if you want to watch that, since this is going to be a non-spoiler, more overarching review, our conversation was actually non-spoiler as well, but it's a little bit more in-depth about some of the points that the book touches upon. So if you want, go and watch it. I don't know if I can leave it link up above, so definitely down below it will be linked. And this video is the second one that I'm doing talking about this book because it actually does deserve it. So without more hiding, the book that I'm talking about today is The Bell Chime by Mona Kabani, and this is a horror novella, and this was indie published, I believe. Yeah. So I think you can find it on Amazon and on the author's website, which I'm going to leave down below as per usual. And so The Bell Chime is more than the actual basic premise wants you to believe it is, but for the sake of not spoiling the experience of going into this book, the basic premise of this is about this girl. She one day goes out in the street doing her business, doing her thing, and she sees a missing person poster with her face on it in a very strange, sort of like demonic grin. And she gets fairly upset because of course she's not missing. She knows where she is and who she is and what she's doing, and people have seen her and talked to her, and she lives with her boyfriend and everything's okay. So why is that bothering her so much? And that's the beginning of this novella, and also the beginning of a very, very complicated, paralyzing, and terrifying downward spiral of panic and anxiety. And I absolutely loved it. So first of all, gorgeous, gorgeous book, also fairly small. You can read it pretty fast, or can you? Because this book also has some trigger warnings. It says so in the beginning of the book, which I'm fairly thankful for because I was a bit more prepared for what was going on because I read it. And it has some mentions of self-harming, suicide intents, depression, anxiety, paranoia, and others. So if you're triggered by those, I would not recommend this lightly, since for me at least it was a very, very strong book about those kinds of topics. Since I do not want to go into what this book is really, really about, let me just tell you that the premise of this is nothing compared to the rest of this short novella. It is short, but it packs a punch. It has different complexities in writing. It has different parts that are approached and that full on bring something in the end that is more than you probably were bargained for. And for me in specifically, because it touched upon mental illness a lot, and it was the main subject of this book was actually mental illness, specifically anxiety, paranoia, and depression. For me, it was a little bit hard to deal with, and that's why I'm not recommending it lightly. However, it was so fairly realistic to the point where some of my reactions to some stimuli and to some situations were so vividly compared to the reactions of the characters in these situations that it pulled me in grabbed me, and it was one of the most beautiful and exquisitely written things that I've read in a long, long time. If you know someone that suffers from these types of mental illnesses, or if you do suffer for them yourself, but you're in a good place right now, in a recovery place where you can read a horror novel based on that, I would fairly recommend, because it's not always that those types of traits are described as they actually feel in real life and as they are actually portrayed by people in real life. So in that regard, for me, it was really great. As I said, this novella, because it's so short, it doesn't seem like it, but it does have a lot of different things going on at the same time that in the end come together, or not, because it leaves a bit of things to the interpretation, which is also something that I like in my horror. So I think that we could categorize this as being sort of a psychological horror, psychological thriller, drama novella, which for me are the best ones. Not that I don't enjoy other types of horror, but these types of horror are a little bit more, if done well, realistic to the topics in question, and also a little bit more scary because they are precisely realistic. Of course, I'm not saying that everything that happened here is possible, particularly because it touches on some subjects that, as a psychology major, I have been studying, and some of the things I am not sure could really happened. However, it gives you the interpretation and the possibility to actually make your own story inside of a story, which I find great, because talking with Miguel and actually trying to read and search other people's reviews, I have seen that I've taken from this book, maybe because of my personal anxiety disorder, but I have taken from this book way different interpretations that other people have. And sometimes you're reading this and you're actually asking yourself, what is actually real in this fictionalized dialogue? What is actually happening and what is not? Because one thing that this novella does great, and that Mona Kabani does great, is actually explaining to you the matter of perspective. Is something real just because you think it happened or you felt it with one of your senses? Does that mean it's actually real? Or is it not? And what is reality actually? And what is normal actually? What is going on? And it has a lot of fast-paced moments. Actually, I think that we can say that this novella is sort of divided into two big parts. The first part, the intermission, and then the second part altogether. For me, the most difficult parts to read were the first part and the intermission. They were like running a marathon on your head on high peak adrenaline anxiety levels. And the next of it was sad, powerful, horrifying, but not as deeply disturbing as the first part was for me. But that's my opinion. I know that other people have different opinions, but I just wanted to share mine. And I think that the beauty that Mona Kabana actually did with this horror novel is making you question every single thing that is happening, and at the same time making you expect something worse at every turn. You don't know what's going to happen. All bets are off in here. You are dealing with yourself, with your psyche. You get to sort of insert yourself as the main character of the story if you want to, or as the narrator of the story if you prefer. And it's very complex, and it's a debut novel, and I am such in awe of a debut author just doing this in a genre that is particularly difficult, because even though I haven't read all of the horror out there, and I am a bit of a baby in what regards horror, since I've only read some of the bigger names and I haven't read a lot of books, I think I know how to recognize something that actually creeps you out. So when I was talking with Miguel in our conversation, which I'm not going to spoil because I would really enjoy for you to see his video and subscribe to his channel, as I said, he does not suffer from anxiety disorder, but he felt extremely uneasy in some of the parts in this book, which is very, very nice, because that means that through this, you're learning, you're understanding how the world feels for people that have some type of mental illness. That is important. That is learning, that is understanding. And at the same time, you are getting freaked out of your mind because you don't know what is going on. There's an actual fast-paced scene in this book that just made me feel completely out of myself. It was so fast-paced. I didn't know what was real anymore. I didn't know what was going on and real in the story, because of course I knew what I was and what I was doing. So I didn't have any dissociative experience, but I didn't know what was real anymore for the story. I didn't know what I was supposed to believe, if I was supposed to believe in our character or in the supposed reality and normalcy of what the situation could be. And because it was so fast-paced and so peaked, it just reached an adrenaline level that you weren't expected. And what can I say besides it's incredible? Also, the name of the book is quite accurate and quite interesting, and we could just spend a whole entirety of a video discussing the name and the situation on itself, but I'm not going to do that because I really want to tell you, read this book. This book is great, it's short, is profoundly well written, and it's creepy. And I think that at the end of the day, when you're picking a horror book, you want to feel uneasy. You want to feel creeped out of your skin, like something is bothering you and you don't know what. And if at the same time you can learn how it feels to have an actual mental illness and doubting everything, single thing that you're doing in your entirety of the life that you have, well, that's great too. So yeah, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I do hope that you go and purchase the Bell Chime, but be safe, be careful. If you are in recovery of some difficult situation, maybe this is not the book for you. However, if you like horror, if you like to get scared, if you like to feel uneasy, I can only say that it did it to me, it did it to my friend, and it did it to some other people that absolutely love this. So go to Monica Vani's website, go to Amazon, buy it, review it, and get people to know this, because this is an awesome book and it should be get to know better. So that's going to be all for today. If you've read this book, if you know about this book, or if you want to read this book, if it sounded interesting, if it sounded creepy, if it's something that you could pick up, tell me something in the comments down below, and don't forget to go watch Miguel's channel and our conversation about this book, because it's actually very interesting. Or maybe that's just because I'm in it and I found it very interesting. I don't know, but you should go there and give your opinion on the subject. So that's going to be it for today, and happy readings to you all. Bye!